He even burned the youngest one with an iron, and the girl still has the marks from the iron. He was very violent with all three of them. My sister said that after talking to her for a while, she explained that she didn't get involved because if my sister tried to protect her daughters, he would become even more violent towards her. He supposedly came to see the girls and my sister invited him to eat, which was my sister's big mistake. She let him in and let him take a shower and eat. He was with them on the 15th. And on the 15th, early in the morning, that's when he killed my sister. He cut my sister's jugular from side to side. Afterwards, he tied a cable around her, but before that, he beat her. Well, she was very playful with them and talked a lot with his daughters, and she always tried to show them the positive side of life.
In our country, the cases and consequences of gender-based violence are a statistic that has continued to grow alarmingly since the last decade. So today we will learn the story of Norma Arellano Lopez and Ana Ruth Escobar, mother and daughter, whose lives changed forever after the tragic death of their family member, María de Jesús Escobar Arellano, who, like many other women in Mexico, was a victim of gender-based violence.
Good afternoon, my name is Norma Arellano Lopez, and well, I'm here about the case of my daughter María de Jesús Escobar Arellano.
Good afternoon, my name is Ana Ruth Escobar Arellano. I'm from Jalisco. I'm here to present the case of my sister María de Jesús Escobar Arellano. She was a victim of femicide on March 16, 2020. Well, she met her romantic partner in Mexico City. They started a relationship in 2007. He became very attached to her because it seems like he liked her from the moment he saw her. So, from that moment, it started as putting pressure on her. Because he kissed her and said that because of that kiss, she was already his girlfriend. So my sister, from that moment on, my sister didn't know how to say no to him. About 2 months later, he suggests that they run away together. And my sister didn't want to. My sister said that all she wanted was to get to know Mexico City, but she didn't want him to start a family with. So she agreed to be his girlfriend, but when they ran away, she didn't want to. And she says she felt so much pressure from him insisting, so much that they risked it all because he wanted to have a commitment with her that in the end, well, she went with him. He got her pregnant very quickly so my sister wouldn't leave him. In December of that same year, my first nephew was born. And that's when she started to suffer abuse. Because ever since she was pregnant, since the first girl, that's when the mistreatment started. Physical.
Well, my daughter, when she was little, she was always very smiley. When she also went to Mexico, she didn't want to go, but she said, yes, I'll go for a while with my sister, and she went. I didn't expect her to meet this guy, but from then on, she was really happy. She was always laughing. I even told her that even with the stones, ever since she got together with him, I started to notice that if I made a joke, she wouldn't laugh anymore. Not at all she would laugh, but it was the opposite, just anger. She was just angry. And I would ask her, what's wrong with you, daughter? She'd say, nothing, Mom. I'd say, does Pancho treat you badly, my daughter? No, Mom. Then, well, I see you now. I used to laugh at you. Now what's going on with you? Nothing, Mom. She didn't want to tell me anything until one day we were already in her room. I saw how quickly she got ready. She would just say, Mom, wait for me here. Just let me get ready quickly. And she would start moving around and doing the chores and bringing the food. And I would just watch her. I thought, why is this happening? You know? That's when I started to see her differently.
His relatives found out that he was hitting her, but they didn't do anything. She hadn't told us anything, neither my mom nor me. And it was only years later that we started to find out that she was being abused by him. 7 years after she was with him, we realized that she was being beaten, even abused. Also because if my sister didn't want to be intimate with him, he would force her just because he said so. They were together for 13 years. During those 13 years, it was on and off. And in those 13 years, they had 2 more daughters. In total, they had 3 daughters. No, it wasn't just violent with my sister, but also with my nieces. In fact, he seemed to take it out even more on the oldest one. On one occasion, now that I've been talking with my niece, the oldest one, she said that he would throw her against the refrigerator, and emotionally he would tell her she was fat and things like that. And the middle one also tells me the same thing. He even burnt the youngest one with an iron, and the girl has the marks from the iron. He was very violent with all 3 of them. My sister said that after talking to her for a while, she said she didn't get involved because if my sister got involved for her daughters, he would be even more violent towards my sister.
The violence in their relationship had been escalating little by little, becoming more and more obvious and at the same time dangerous. But Maria ignored the warning signs and her family's warnings, believing that things could get better. She never imagined that her partner would take his actions to a point of no return. And what started with hurtful words and controlling attitudes ended up becoming an irreversible tragedy that forever marked her loved ones.
Later on, when he arrived, I told me it was when I went to Mexico for the first time already with her. Because I used to talk to him and say, Mom, everything's fine, everything's fine. Oh, okay. And I showed up by surprise. Later on, he told me at night when he arrived. He told me, "Good evening, mother-in-law." I say, "Hello, good evening." I asked, "Didn't you expect her sometimes?" "No, ma'am. Honestly, I didn't." Saying, I told her, maybe another day. About 3 days later, she started saying, "Well, ma'am, do you remember that you once told me that if we got together, we got together? Do you remember that you told me never to hit her?" I said, "Oh, yes, of course I remember." "Well, forgive me, ma'am, if I ever hit her," he said. "It's just that I have hit your daughter." And I asked him, "Why don't you two just leave each other? Why don't you two just leave each other?" And me, I would start talking to my daughter, and then my daughter would say, "No, that's not true. Mom, don't believe it. Mom, she's just joking." And I told her, well, since I didn't say anything else to her, I told my daughter she's grown up. I said, "It seems strange to me." I tell her that when she leaves, he's going to arrive and starts running to do the chores. I told her maybe yes, and that's what I said. Then she started telling me that yes, he did hit her when she would come here to Guadalajara with me. She says, but he doesn't say anything to me. She said, "Mom," she said, "but nothing. He just comes and wants his food, right? And what if I take 10 pesos? She says, "One time I took 10 pesos and he hit me really badly." She says, "Just for 10 pesos. And I told her, "Daughter, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? The time has come that, well, it's over now. Smile." Here in Guadalajara, the last time he kicked me because he took the middle girl, he took her away. I still didn't have the youngest one. I was pregnant with the youngest, my daughter. And she ran and grabbed my granddaughter's hair, and I grabbed him so there wouldn't be any problems, or so I thought. I grabbed him by the shirt, and that's it. He kicked me so I would let him go, and instead of letting him go, I held on even tighter. I said, he's not going to take the girl like he does every day. He takes them all. But my daughter already said, "No, Mom, I'm not going back there anymore." She finally made a decision. She got over the girl, but with the next girl, she didn't, and I didn't see her smile anymore. I would go and take care of the 3 girls. And then when I saw her, once I saw her, God knows that I saw her really sad. I saw her sad. I saw her from behind, and I noticed she had little hair. And I just stared at her. That day, I kept looking at her hair. And I could already feel, even though she didn't tell me anymore, I could already feel that she was being mistreated. And well, yes, I even asked God for forgiveness afterwards, because I would look at her head and see that she had little hair, and I saw her really sad. She was facing away from me, and I kept looking at her, and I said, "My Father, for your love, forgive me for what I'm thinking. Do I really want to kill him? I see that my daughter is suffering because I could feel her pain, but she wouldn't say anything to me. Because he would tell her that she was already old, so what was the point? She told me she didn't have to tell me anything, that she should solve her own problems. And in my mind, I was like, what's wrong with you? Nothing, Mom, nothing. And that idea got into my head. I said, oh my God, I want to kill him because of my daughter. I feel like if she's going through problems, my little girl, and she doesn't tell me anything, well, I'll just end my life in sorrow. He doesn't do anything to her, but I just want my daughter to be happy with her 3 little girls and for no one to hurt her anymore. God knows that the idea of killing him crossed my mind, but he beat me to it because I saw that she was suffering. But when I was with her, she would smile a little. She would speak softly to my granddaughters, and Mom, I never saw her happy again. Since she got together with him, she wasn't herself anymore. Then I called her brother because according to him, he was a real buddy. According to him, a real buddy. While we were talking, he said, oh, my nieces, Mom. And that's when he told me, you know what? But he didn't let me talk anymore. He didn't let me say a single word. I thought I was going to have a good conversation with him, but no. It turned out, just like they say about the murderer, it turned out he was right. No, his daughter was good. Yes, she let me speak. He said because my brother told me that he found them in bed and that she was going around with one guy and then another. And, well, the girls, just imagine. My brother says they're not his, so, well, they're not his. He didn't let me say a thing, not even anything. So I had heard that he told my daughter that his wife had a baby girl who wasn't his. And was I supposed to tell him that result? So then you should have also, if that's the case, you should have also killed your woman too, right? Because she did give you a child that wasn't yours. So why do you say that what your brother did to my daughter is okay? She didn't give me a chance to speak, but I do feel a lot of anger toward her whole family because her whole family saw there's someone named Jenny. She also held my daughter so she couldn't defend herself. She told me that when she was pregnant with the oldest, she would hold her. She says, I looked like a cat, grabbing onto the walls with my hands and feet so she wouldn't kick me out of her house. And I asked her, why didn't you come, sweetie? Oh, Mom, what was I supposed to do? She said, and then my girl didn't want to destroy her home. Well, that's not a home. That's a hell you're going through. Yes, Mom, but from that day on, I never saw her happy again. I never saw my girl happy again. My oldest daughter would talk to her too, and before, what my oldest daughter said would make her laugh. But she didn't laugh at anything anymore. She didn't say anything to me after that. She was always upset ever since she got together with that guy.
In 2020, I'm moving on to 2020 now. That's when the incident with my sister happened. Yeah, my sister was already more determined to leave him, to start her own family with her daughters, and, well, to be working. This person didn't accept it. That my sister told her she didn't want anything to do with her anymore. I think he was already using drugs, because the last time I saw him, he already looked very worn out physically. He was robust, and then he started to lose a lot of weight, and he started to say incoherent things. So I noticed he was acting kind of strange, and I did mention it to my sister, like, hey, I see Francisco acting weird. What's going on with him? And she told me, I don't know, he's hiding my things and everything. I said, okay, so at that point, well, yes, I started to feel afraid for my sister. In fact, on the night of March 15th, I told my sister, I spoke with her, and I asked her if she wasn't afraid that he might do something to her. My sister said that she was already taking care of things with a lawyer. And she didn't think he would go that far, because they had the 3 girls, maybe. Well, sooner or later he was going to have to accept that she didn't want anything to do with him anymore. It turned out that it didn't work, because he knew that my sister felt really sorry to see him dirty, to see him all messy. He supposedly came to see the girls, and my sister invited him to eat, which was my sister's big mistake. She lets him in and lets him take a shower and eat. He was with them on the 15th. And on the 15th in the early morning, that's when he killed my sister, his daughter, the oldest one. Around 11 in the morning on the 16th, his daughter was 12 years old at that time. His daughter was the one who found her. He took the two younger girls out. At that time, the middle one was 6, and the youngest was 2 years old. He took them out of the place. But before that, he said he wanted to kill the oldest one. He also left the stove knobs open. Thank God he didn't manage to take my niece's life, the oldest one.
Ana Ruiz. She tells us that one of the most delicate and traumatic situations of this tragedy was that Maria's body was found by her own daughter. An event that left a deep emotional mark on the family and that marks a before and after in their lives.
My niece finds my sister with a bag over her head. My niece says that she thought she was still alive. She takes the bag off her. But he cut my sister's jugular from side to side. Then he tied a cable around her, but before that he hit her. At the time we thought maybe he caught her while she was asleep, but it turned out he didn't. Later, after talking to neighbors and to her, we found out that my sister asked for help. Usually it was neighbors, that's who my sister had around her. And they say that they were so scared that they didn't call the authorities. But my sister was asking for help. My sister was badly beaten on her legs, on her stomach. Her private area was also badly beaten. We were very upset because so much. Where they did the autopsy, it was like, no, it's clear to us that maybe that's all it was, or maybe they just wrote it down, that it was from the jugular, from side to side. They don't tell everything that we later saw. All the injuries he already had. And right now? Well, until recently, we even started to think that maybe she could have been pregnant. Because of some photos we saw, which they also didn't take into account and didn't tell us about either. My niece gets up around 11 in the morning and says that the first thing she does is look for her mom, because she fell asleep with her mom. The two youngest, she fell asleep with the little one and with the oldest, my sister, and the middle one stayed with her dad. In the other room, there were 2 rooms in the place. And she says that the first thing she does is look for her mom. She says, oh, my mom isn't here. She gets up around 11 in the morning and she starts looking for her mom. And she says she opened the door to the second room and saw the bed, the bunk bed that was there, had been slept in. Excuse me? And she says she saw some feet sticking out from the place. And she thought it was strange because it had been moved and shifted. The girls' room, that's the girls' room. So what she does is move the bed because she just thought it was strange that only the feet could be seen. And when she moves the feet, the bed, she sees that her mom is in a pool of blood and sees her with the bag. So she says the first thing she did was take the bag away from my sister. And she ran out when she saw that she was already lifeless. My sister runs out with the neighbor. And she asks her if she can make a call because her mom is covered in blood. They called the authorities at that time, and that's when the commotion starts. We found out because he went to take the other 2 girls to an uncle. Then my uncle calls me really desperate and says, hey, what happened to your sister? Francisco came, he said, and left the girls with me. And I asked him, didn't my sister take them to you? No, but he only had 2 with him. I asked, and what about Carol? Well, I don't know. He just left them with me. Well, I went downstairs, he said, to see what I wanted, because he said he wanted to talk to me. That's all. He left the girls at my door, and then in the same taxi he came in, he left. He said, but the youngest girl won't stop crying. So, well, I live close to him, and I tell him, you know what? Bring them to me so they can calm down. But I start calling my sister. That was around 9 in the morning with me. I start calling her, and it seemed strange to me. I said, when there were problems, the first thing my sister would do was call me to tell me, you know, this Pancho took the girls because he had done it before, that he would take the girls or the youngest one. She was the one he could take more easily. So I said, she hasn't called me, and it's really strange to me that my sister hasn't called me. I start calling and calling, but no, the phone was off and off. So what I did was call my mom because she was closer to my sister. She lived closer to my sister. I said, Mom, Pancho took the girls to my Uncle Pablo, please. I said, you go over there with her. Because it's really strange to me that she's not answering the phone. I honestly started to think that maybe my sister was hurt, because I thought it doesn't make sense that she's not calling me, because the first thing she does when something like this happens is call me. So what I thought was, is my sister hurt? Or did someone take her phone and she can't contact me? At that point, my mom also started to get desperate. I told her. And another thing is that there are only 2 girls. One is missing. So my mom heads over to the place. And she says that when she got there, the police were already there. And my niece was there with one of the police officers interrogating her, robbing her. The place was already cordoned off. And I'll call my mom back. What happened? And she says to me, you know what? Did he kill her? So I told her, well, it was something that really caught us by surprise. Well, me. The worst I thought was that maybe he had just hit her. But that's how we found out on March 16th.
My daughter told me, my daughter said, Mom, she's not answering me. Maria said, go if you run, she told her. Because you go see, and since I live in Tateposco, and it was just going down there in Parques, in Lomas del Verde, and I didn't want to. I wanted to wait for the bus, and I said, well, if I take it, yes, no, by motor taxi, no. I said, I'm not going to take it. And then the bus passed by and I arrived. And yes, when I got off, nobody told us anything. I got off. I already saw the red threads. I already started. My father, please don't let it end where my daughter is. Don't let it end where my daughter is. I beg you, don't let it end. I don't know. Everything just hit me when I saw that it really was my daughter. My granddaughter ran out of the park because I said, what? And I grabbed this one where the red rubber was. I lifted it and got in on the side. And she said, what? And then they asked my oldest granddaughter, who is she to you? And she said, no, she's my grandmother. She's my grandmother. And then they asked me, is she your daughter? I said, yes, she's my daughter. Then a policewoman said, that's what happens. She said, because they don't tell them to file a report. But even if they do file a report, it doesn't matter. She was talking to a policeman. And they file a report, but even then, they don't follow up on the case. Is that why? So I got angry and I just turned to her. The lady was right there. She was a young woman. I turned and stared at her and I said, is that why? I asked if she filed a complaint. Like, how do you know she didn't? And he just stayed quiet. She did file a complaint, but someone like you showed up, but I didn't want to mistreat her. I told her. Someone like you showed up. Does he support you? So what are you going to do? But then look, your daughters will be left without their dad. So if they're supporting you, there's no reason to sue him. Why would you sue him? And my daughter just looked at me and turned away because she sued him, my daughter, because he kicked me. He kicked me and my whole foot was all bruised. And that's why she sued him. And that's when she said, didn't he do this to you? A policewoman? Then it was just the 2 of us left and we left. But that day I did say things to her. Well, I didn't insult her, but I did say something because she pulled a stunt, like you. I was going to say, trying to be clever. About what? Instead of encouraging her to report it, she said, what for? That he supported them, so why would she report him? Anyway, does he support you? And my daughter just stayed quiet. We turned around. No, I wanted them to let me go because I said, please, I even begged the police, please, I beg you, let me go. I just see, no, that's not going to happen. That I was going to make a mess. No, I promise you. That I don't want to see my daughter. No, I'm not going to hold her. No. You can't see her? You can't see her? No, but I want to see her. They didn't let me see her. They didn't let me see her, but I already saw the photos. That's why I see in the photos everything he did to me, what he did to my daughter.
One of the most difficult situations they faced in their search for justice was the indifference and institutional violence from the authorities who, instead of providing support, obstructed the process and minimized the family's pain.
The authorities avoided them from the very beginning. Supposedly, they couldn't find him, they couldn't locate him. The authorities are now telling us that this is the second time that he has escaped from them. I don't understand how a person could escape from them twice when they supposedly had him in their sights. We know that he has relatives both in Oaxaca and in Tijuana, as well as in Mexico City. And supposedly, according to someone, we found out that, according to him, he's going to cross over or that he's already in the United States. So far, the authorities haven't given us anything that would make us feel satisfied with their work. They say they're working on the case. In February, I went to ask again, was my mom pressuring them? And in February, I went to ask, and they told me they had just made a request to ask the authorities in Mexico City for help, so that if they find him there, it can be sent here to Guadalajara. Well, from the authorities, all they told us was that all we could do was wait, that they were working and would keep working on my sister's case. Up until now, it's time. That they haven't done anything. It's been 5 years that we've been going back and forth, and all they do is pass the blame to each other. Isn't it that, the expert changed, right? Well, we can't do anything. We're working on it. We're still looking for him. No, it's just that he escaped from us twice. They're still not working. Obviously, you notice it. Until now, they hadn't given us my sister's case file number for the investigation. Until now, they haven't given us a copy of how the process is going. They just keep saying, no, well, come another day and we can give it to you. No, well, the person in charge of that kind of thing isn't here right now. No, the one who manages that isn't here right now. That's a very long process, or things like that. The Fiscalía del Salto is the one in charge of the case, and that hasn't given us an answer.
I'm very sorry, but I want justice to be done because it's been my daughter and me. They're working on it. They respond to me as if I were the murderer because they say, and what do you want? They're working on it. They're working on it. We can't do anything. They're working on it. And I'm one of those people who just lowers my head, and to avoid arguing, I say, oh, that's fine. Thank you very much. And I leave. But they haven't done anything. Oh, and because one time I went alone. My daughter told me, but go ahead, Mom, you take care. And I went and told the EDI who is supposedly handling the case. I said, excuse me, but I feel like nothing is happening. There are no results. Well, I have no other choice. Please, just give them to me. I just want to see the photos of my daughter to keep looking at them. There's nothing else I can do, just whatever is left for me. I said, the photos, can you show them to me? No, I said, it's just that I really want to go somewhere else to see if some lawyer or someone can help me get another opinion. And she said that if they didn't take the case, I was going to take it somewhere else. Because she said, I don't have the photos here. And I said, why not? She said, I just don't have them here. I have them somewhere else. I told her, well, I want to see the photos at least to keep them as a memory, because as for the work, they didn't do any. With the knife, he cut her throat. Do you know how many times he stabbed her in the belly? He wrapped the wire around her head. He beat her up really badly. He made a cut here, right next to her chest. They say it's the chest. It's not just a cut. He tortured her here. So I told him, well, let me have the photos. Since I know you're not going to do anything, I want to have the photos on my phone. He said it's not a good idea. When I told her I came to check on my daughter's case to take it to someone else, she said no. And she herself said it's not a good idea. And I asked her why not. She said because since the case is already here, it would cause a mess. Ah, okay, so when should I come so you can show me the photos and I can transfer them to my phone and at least see my daughter? They're not going to bring justice.
Another situation that fills them with helplessness is the suspicion of that the perpetrator is the author of a series of messages that at first glance might seem innocent, but with a little more context become deeply sinister.
He hasn't contacted them, but he has done it. I think it's him contacting us just to bother us, like he's making fun of us, but not because he wants to get closer to his daughters, because he always said they weren't his. I mean, my sister is the one who's pregnant. And all the time he kept saying they weren't his.
And even now he laughs about it. He has made a lot on his phone with many different names he puts and sends them. Oh, poor little girls. He left them orphaned, making fun of us, poor little girls. And he used to call my granddaughters little girls, poor little girls. Little girls, he left 3. What can be done? Yes, we had the chance that I didn't say goodbye because I was angry, because I told her not to open the door to that guy because I already saw him as crazy. He had cuts here on his hands. He was already cutting himself. So I said, no, I told you no. Not to open the door for him. Did you ignore me? My daughter also told her, sister, if you see anything, call the police. But she didn't listen to us. And I felt so angry with her, so angry that she ignored me. She judged me as a mother. She judged me. So I said, she's not going to do something to them. And yes, I'm still hurt. I'm still hurt because right now she would be here. She left my 3 granddaughters to me in my care, thanks to God, to my daughter. My daughter accepted them, and blessed be my God that she accepted them. But I say she left them alone. If she were here, if she hadn't let him in, she would be with them. Not because they're with my daughter, but because she's dead and I love my daughter. I tell my daughter, thank God you are here with me. But whether I want to or not, I miss Preeta. But now, thank God, I have her, and I've always counted on my oldest daughter. Both of us look like little girls. My daughter, the one they killed, and we both look like little girls. We didn't put everything on her. We didn't burden her. Hey, sweetie, look, sweetie, and hey, my love, and look, sweetie, what if my little girl is there? Thank God, so far she's been patient with me. It's just that I feel angry because she didn't listen to me. No, she didn't listen to me. They even took my daughter and me. They took both of us there to the morgue. They opened the drawer for us. And we didn't think anything. Both of us, because she was also angry because she also warned him about giving him a kiss, right? No, because we felt angry. I said, oh, honey, why didn't we give Preta a kiss when they opened the casket there? Yeah. They didn't let him open it anymore with my sister because at that time people were dying from coronavirus disease. So she thought maybe she had coronavirus disease. I don't know what my sister was thinking, and she didn't let them open it, but they didn't open it and we didn't because we were upset. I don't feel angry anymore. I feel sadness, desperation, and helplessness. After feeling so much, I tell my daughter, we shouldn't do anything anymore. My daughter, what's the point? Nothing happens.
Such a violent act leaves terrible and lasting consequences, both physical and emotional. Anaru tells us that every day he fights to help his nieces cope with such a heavy burden, trying to give them the support and strength they need to move forward.
I tried, just like before, to see what the girls would tell me. And he says that what happened was that he told them, I think maybe he must have given them something too, because they are very light sleepers. So none of the 3 heard anything. She didn't hear any noise. She didn't even hear the fight that happened between them. So I suppose that maybe he gave something from the fridge to the girls because they fell into a deep sleep. My niece, for the oldest, to have woken up at 11 in the morning, well, that seems very strange to me. The middle one tells me that she woke them up and stood them at the door, both her and the youngest one. And she told them not to turn on the light under any circumstances, either in the living room or the kitchen, because everything was covered in blood. So she strictly forbade her from turning on the light, saying they were going out to run an errand. And she asked her, "Are we going without your mom?" So the youngest girl started crying, and she told her, "It's okay, everything will be fine, calm down." And she made them walk. My sister lived near the Verde Highway, and she made them walk a long stretch of the Verde Highway. Then when she finally got a taxi, she took them to some people near Medrano, and he was talking with those people. Then the girl told me that she overheard the conversation, that he said, "How dare you, dude?" And that he said, "You know what? Get rid of the girls." That's what the middle one told me. That's what she heard. That's what he said. Because if they don't get you for that, for the girls, they will get you. So what happened was that he took the taxi again and took them to my uncle. And that, well, the girl told me about it when she was 10, the middle one, the one who was 6 at the time. She said, "And was he showing the phone to those people?" I imagine he was showing pictures of my sister. Because after that, we were dealing with our pain and with all the paperwork for my sister. One of my cousins goes on Facebook, and she starts to see that they tagged my sister's Facebook and the family's. They started tagging some photos that were way too intimate of how my sister looked. Then he started making really inappropriate comments, saying that she deserved it because she was a prostitute and things like that. But those photos were just too graphic, because that's how my sister ended up. And the person who uploaded them, well, I think that he took the time to take the photos too.
So I told my daughter, my granddaughters, the 2 older ones, want me to change their last name. And I told her, change it to your name. I also want that, I agree, change their last name. If possible, change their first name too, change it for them. He said they're not his, and his sister also said they're not his, so they're not his. I told him when they call you on the phone, the day I saw him, about what you're going to tell them. If they ask you if they want to hang out with you, let them hang out with you. Well, that's just how it is. But don't give them any information about my granddaughters, because they are my granddaughters. They're nothing to them. They said it themselves, so let it be clear. They're nothing to them. Because he abused the little one, I don't want to say anymore. Here it is. He totally abused her. And my daughter is here. She made her brother see it, that police officer. Because supposedly they weren't his, which I also think about the older one, because about the older one, she's not doing well. She doesn't want to know anything about men anymore. She doesn't want to know anything.
My 18-year-old niece, the one who's about to turn 18, hasn't gotten over the problem, on the contrary. I mean, yes, we've taken her to therapy. She's received therapy and everything. But I see her as very angry with men, because whenever she can, she lashes out at all men. Isn't it that men are this, they're that, they're so dirty, they're so, this bossy? I mean, no. Even if I take her to therapy, what if I told her, is it expensive? I mean, maybe it's the situation that's bothering you, but you have to try your best. But she's really angry, though. She's really angry at all men, not just her dad, at all men. In fact, they've actually asked me to change their last name because they don't want to have their dad's last name.
Well, the middle one.
She says that she is really hurt because she, like everyone, wishes her mom was alive and that she could enjoy life with her. What was she like? Because they remember her. And that she was very playful with them. She talked a lot with her daughters. And she always tried to show them the positive side of life. So the middle one does say that she is very hurt because, well, they took her mom away from her. The youngest one. Well, I see her as more resigned, maybe because of her age, right? But she's a little more resigned. She does ask about her mom, what she was like. How she used to play when we were little and everything, but she's a bit more resigned now, maybe because of her age. Because when she came to me, she was 2 years old. So, yes, she asks if we show her pictures of what her mom was like, but it's like she doesn't have those memories that both Sophia and Carolina have.
Anna tells us that the only thing she asks of the authorities is that they do their job properly. Mrs. Norma, deeply disappointed with the institutions responsible for delivering justice, finds comfort in the idea that no matter how much the perpetrator hides, he will not be able to escape divine judgment. She also sends a strong message to young women who, like her daughter, suffer from violence. Do not minimize these acts and seek help before it is too late.
Well, what we've been asking them since 2020 is to do their job. That they catch him. It can't be possible that he escaped from them twice. I mean, please, maybe at first we believed them, but now we're seeing that they're really not doing any work at all. Because what they always say is that there are already a lot of femicides there. And I feel like my sister's case is going unpunished.
Well, they just let them go. If their families are right there next to them, they say, let them go. They should listen. They should listen because it's true. My daughter didn't think so because she said, I don't believe it, that it could do so much. That yes, it could go beyond the limit. I told her daughter, he crossed the line with that kick. He already jumped over the fence, and I'm his mother-in-law. Don't expect anything else. Don't expect anything else. And well, guys, they laugh at you, but it doesn't matter. All I want is for justice to be done. I don't care about their laughter. What I want is for justice to be done for my daughter. If God wants justice to be done, then let it be so. If not, well, my God will judge the one who hides him. Let's see if it's true that they can hide him. Since they were also Christians, they are Christians. Let's see if they can hide him from my God's judgment. He was a carpenter, but he had brothers who were police officers.
Well, I would like for God to touch their hearts. And if they have seen him, please report it. Because some time ago they told us that he was already starting a life with a girl, that this girl was a nurse and that he already had a child, that he was already starting his life. So honestly, I don't think this person can change. Honestly, yes, it really makes me think that he could do it again. And well, that people can, how can I say, well, be moved a little by someone else's pain, because honestly, no one understands it. Until you go through it yourself, maybe you can say, wow, that was awful. What happened to that person? But when you actually live through it, do you really see that much? What is the struggle of mothers who have lost their daughters or because they are missing until you actually go through it? That's when you see it from another perspective. So I do ask that I touch the hearts of people and that they can report it. If he really is in Tijuana, which is what we believe, that he could be in Tijuana, he has a mole very close to his lip. I think that's the most noticeable thing, having two that are really close together. Yes, my Facebook is Ana Escobar Arellano. That's where you could contact me. I also have photos of my sister. I've posted a lot of things about her.
Remember, if you were part of any injustice and would like to share your case, you can write to me on Facebook. I'm under the name Pepe Misterio, on Instagram as Pepe Misterio Mexico or Pepe Misterio Documentales, and my email is correoypepemisterio.com.mx. I will be in Mexico City from June 19th to June 23rd. And if you have a case and you're in Mexico City, you can contact me.